We got a 2020 Lexus here. This one's got the 3.5 liter. It's the IS300. I guess it would be the same as the IS350. I don't know if the 250s come with the 3.5 liter, but anyway, 3.5 liter V6. So we're gonna do an oil change on it. Real easy. The hood latch release is underneath the dash. You should know that by now. Pop the hood. There's your hood release right in the center. Nice easy spot. We got our cap over here. This car does take 0W20, that's the oil spec. However, if you cannot access 0W20, you can put 5W. All right, so in order to change the filter, we got to remove this access panel. Very simple, just 10 millimeter bolts. Go ahead and remove these. Now, if you live somewhere in a rusty climate, like I do, I highly recommend that you soak these little bolts in oil, because even though they go into plastic, they rust and then they break the plastic tabs that act as threads, and they're just a pain, and then you gotta replace stuff and blah, blah, blah. So I always just soak them in oil. You can see that they were rusty, and I've cleaned them off and oiled them since then. But now that's gonna give you access to your oil filter housing. You're gonna need a tool in order to remove that filter housing. And if you want to use the drain, there's I gotta go grab the filter box, but there's a plastic drain I'll show you in a second that'll go inside of this portion here where that 3/8 drive cap goes. So I'm just gonna go grab a ratchet and we'll take that off, and we'll actually drain the cartridge to make less of a mess. All right, so here's the part number that you're gonna need. 0415-YZZA5. And then along with this, other tools you're gonna need are a 14 millimeter socket or wrench for your drain plug. And then this is just what I have. This is the Blue Point OFWTOY 68A oil filter wrench tool that has the teeth on in there, and then a 24 millimeter socket to go on. There are different versions of this, but a lot of them look like this. You can pick them up online for cheap. And then of course 3/8 drive ratchet. So inside of your oil filter box, you're gonna find the plastic drain. Looks like this. This is the piece that I was just talking about. And then 2 gaskets and your filter. Now, if you pick this stuff up from the Toyota dealer, make sure that they give you a drain plug gasket as well. If you just buy this online, a lot of the times the seller is not going to include this drain plug gasket. It's a aluminum washer style gasket with a sort of a paper glued over top of it. And you can buy them online as well. You can find them on Amazon or AliExpress or whatever. So let's go ahead and install this piece first. Take your 3/8 drive ratchet, go ahead and we'll stick it in the hole here. And then we just want to break this cap loose, like so. And a little bit of oil may come out of that when you take it off. Just gonna move this over here. And then once we get this cap off, the draining tool is very, very simple to install. All you're going to do is just put it into the hole and then push in. But just watch, because oil is going to come out. Just like that. That's going to drain your filter cartridge, filter housing, so that it doesn't make a huge mess when you go loosen it off. You don't have to do this. If you're in a rush, you can just go ahead and take the whole darn thing off without removing the cap. But if you're trying to do a nice clean job, that's the way to do it. While this is draining, you can take a look around the car or whatever, do all your checks, and looks like we're pretty much done there. I'm going to grab my filter wrench and 24 millimeter socket, and then we'll go ahead and remove this drain. Whoops. All you do is just grab a hold of it like that and pull sideways. It should come off. There's the O-ring that fell out of it, by the way. And now, if you have one of these style filter wrenches, just make note of the teeth, the position of them. You're gonna have one slot on one side and three on the other. And some filter housings have just one tooth on each side, and some of them have three on one side and just one on the other. So this one does, by the looks of it, have just one on each side. So I'll make sure that that's fully engaged, which it is. Go ahead and loosen this off and remove this, and then we can remove our filter cartridge and gaskets. Just watch, probably gonna have some oil come out of this still yet, even though we've drained it. Maybe, no, not too bad. Okay, there's our cartridge. And then there's our O-ring that sits just on here. Go ahead and pull that off. Now it's nice that the Lexus gives you these metal ones, because a lot of the Toyota models are made out of plastic, and I've seen guys that tighten them on too much and then fracture them, or they're easy to fracture. So I like to just give this thing a little wipe down, make sure everything looks good, make sure we don't have any metal filings in the bottom of it or anything like that, which we should not. We can go ahead and grab our new gaskets. Install this guy first. I got oil on my gloves, so I'm pre-oiling that seal so that it slips together nice. Grab our fresh cartridge. It doesn't matter which way it goes in. It's the same on both sides. Just make sure that that's seated. We'll install this gasket and or this O-ring in the cap after we've installed our filter housing. Go ahead and hand tighten that down. And then what we can do is you can snug it down. I'll get the torque spec for you if you want to torque them down. That's completely up to you. I'm just gonna snug it down. It's like nothing. Whoops, I'm going to tighten this first before we do the cap. Push this thing out of the way. There, barely anything, just snug. It doesn't have to be on there ridiculously tight. Make sure that this gets lubed up. And we just stick that in here. And it'll just sort of push itself up against the that outer surface. We're gonna take our cap, clean it off. Now we're ready to install that as well. Looks like there is actually a torque spec on the housing. Looks like it says tighten to 25 plus or minus 3 inch-pounds, maybe? I can't see. Half of it's not in the cast. I'll include it in the description. Go ahead and tighten this on. Not super tight, just enough. Looks good to me. Now we're gonna drain the oil. 14 millimeter right here. I'm gonna grab the socket and we'll let this thing drain. And yeah, sometimes the gasket for the plug will be stuck on the plug itself. Other times it gets stuck on the pan. In this case, it's stuck on the pan. So just make sure that you don't double up on the gasket, that's all. You might have an oil leak. We don't want that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this gasket off right now. Just watch, if you're using a screwdriver like myself, that you don't go in too far. We don't want to damage the threads at all. We just want to sneak in just behind the gasket and pop it off. And I have my new plug all ready to go, cleaned with the new gasket on there. And it's good to just make sure that we don't have any dirt or anything like that on there, which I got a bit of stuff on there, but no dirt, just oil. And by the way, that filter housing gets torqued to 25 Newton meters. That's what that gets torqued to. So go ahead and snug this thing down. Once again, drain plug does not have to be extremely tight, just snug. So give that a little wipe, and we give our filter a little bit of a wipe as well. So now we're ready to install our cover. Like this. And just sort of hand start these screws. I'm just gonna put that one in, and I just want to spray some a little bit of oil on those. Like I say, just for guys that are, if you're living in a rusty climate, spray those things, man. I'm telling you, you'll thank yourself in 5 years. Same with all these other ones, especially these ones that go into the metal subframe. Oh yeah, pull those things out. I spray them like every 6 months. Because the day that you gotta pull that shield off, and you're fighting every one of them to come out, or one of them breaks, or a couple of them break, and you know, you probably don't have a welder, so it's just no fun. And those things don't have to be super tight. They're plastic threads, remember, so you don't want to like crank them down and wreck the threads, because then you got to get new clips for threads and money. Yeah. Okay, so now we're good to go. This stuff's all good. You've checked everything on the car, right? Done your 55-point inspection, right? Okay, we're gonna lower this thing down, and we're gonna fill it up with 6.43 liters of 0W20 synthetic motor oil. Just filling her up. All right, I'm just gonna put this cap back on here and run the car for 20 to 30 seconds or so. That's what I like to do. Then we're gonna go ahead and check the oil level on the dipstick. Don't be scared if it says 0 oil pressure on your dash there for a split second when you first start it up. That's normal. Go ahead and pull this out, wipe it off. Make sure it's nice and clean. We want accurate reading. And it may be just below the full mark on here when we pull it out to look at it. You can see it's right about half, I would say. It's difficult to, the oil's pretty clear. Sometimes it gives you a different reading on either side, but I'd say like half or so. Hold steady. 3/4. If you waited like 5 or 10 minutes, your oil level is going to go up because all the oil is bleeding back down from the head into the oil pan. So that'll be good. I have another video on how to reset the maintenance reminder in the infotainment system on this car. So if you have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content, and we'll see you in the next one.